Back-to-back Todoroki decks, huh?
Yeah.
We just got done talking about Order. Now let's talk about Fire. This looks like a set 2 deck. Is this something you're looking to play this weekend?
It's set 2. I'm not looking to play this weekend. I'm more likely to play it for the store provisional.
Oh, okay. So hit me with the pitch. What's going on with this deck?
So I played at Rochester and I played Tokoyami. And I had an interesting game 2 side that I think confirmed my theory that I'm not good at aggro. So I decided to play a slower Tokoyami deck and put Todoroki on it.
I love it. Also, want to explain the name of the deck? You know?
I mean, it was your words. I made you eat them, apparently.
Fair.
That's what you said.
Fair. Right, so what do you need help with? What can I doctor up?
So the main things I wanted to think about was other matchups that I wouldn't have considered where this deck fails, because I think that's the biggest concern. And if that's too many matchups, then I'll probably just go water with Todoroki 2 instead.
Sure.
So, wall decks, I want to try and have a bunch of stun to get through those. Faster decks, I want to be just survivable enough that they run out of steam and I then, punish them on overswings and stuff like that with the stun. And then mid-range decks, I just want to be able to poke them with the stun, and that's how I get my momentum, and then still kill them similar to decks.
Makes sense to me. I'm doing the big looking. We're looking big. I've got this under the right thing, right? Yeah, I do. It's just being lame. All right, keep filibustering for me. What else do you want to?
Sure, that's fair.
Yeah.
So I think so for deck size, because that's usually a good question.
Yeah.
I think I want to stay around where I'm at or go slightly slimmer.
Sure.
With the biggest issue there going to be that you basically just can't take out low blocks, because I am like right at the minimum number of low blocks I want to run.
Certainly are.
And the block modifier on them, the average block modifiers, isn't great either. I really like the fire game plan of like finding a turn and just sending it all. I just don't want that turn to have to be in turn 2 or 3. I want to make it where I can do it later.
Okay.
Because I do like that game plan. I just apparently am not good at just doing it turn 2, whether it looks like I have lethal damage or not.
Right. Just trying to figure it out halfway through the turn.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
No, I'm not good at that. I want to figure it out at the beginning of the turn.
Yeah.
Or at least be able to draw into it. So.
Yeah. Okay. So I mean this deck looks almost like the list that I took at the very beginning of the format to the Vegas regional, the very first regional that we had.
Okay.
And I have gone on record in saying that I think that like I think this deck is just better played as Tokoyami and then sideboarded into Todoroki like you did. I think that you're just going to find more consistent results as the bird first. And then it's like be able to take out all of the actions and put in other foundations, the 4 of the action, right? Like we take out Capture Evildoers, we take out Evil Gaze, or we take out Capture Evildoers, we take out Go for the Win, which I'm hoping we're going to add, and then we just like slam the ruins in the deck, right?
Yeah.
But we'll talk about Todoroki. So first and foremost, we have an entire ranged package here, and then one of these things is not like the other. What's going on with Turn to Dust?
So Turn to Dust, I like for the fact that it's resource denial that I think could help transition those mid game and those wall games into wins for me.
Sure.
I like the fact that it says stun 2 on the face, and then I can't give it stun 2, but that just means maybe don't lead with it, or do lead with it because it still has stun 2 on it.
Right.
And just come out with, Ice Storm at a 5 or one of the other 5 costs at a 6.
Yeah. We're playing Crown Frog in the main board. The card's very blank. just doesn't count, right?
Yeah, I could see coming out with it. I just really like denying the progressive because that's, in my opinion, when you don't have a good foundation base, that's part of why Tokoyami can, go like 6 attacks deep. But just denying progressive might not be enough value.
Yeah.
The other thing I liked with it was Todoroki can at least make it a little less blank by giving it +2/+2 and stun 2.
Sure.
But
yeah,
it's not a ton less blank.
444. Do you think 4x Frigids clog at all or no?
I just like Frigid.
Fair.
I just think it's neat.
Hey, draw 2 cards is never bad.
I love draw 2 cards.
Draw 2 cards feels good.
No, I love the idea of like Crow and Frog, Frigid, draw 2, and even if they both come up gray, now I just build foundations. I have more foundations to build, and I poked with like 2 pretty decent cards. Maybe one of them hit and became momentum.
Yeah. I don't hate it. Ruin obviously is like the powerhouse of the deck. Any particular reason you don't want this at a 4 of?
I just kind of assumed the actions was less, or the actions ability was a little bit more blank, and I like a lot of the other cards. I could easily see bringing it to a 4 of because that makes sense to me.
6 high.
That's
for
not anything
10 stun 3 all by its lonesome.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So I'm definitely not against going at a 4 of on that.
I think it's probably better than what Turnitus has got going on. In the main board at least. It also counts as another range. It's a 1 mid block with Breaker. I think that we probably should just swap these 2 around, and then as we like play it, we just realize that like this is where it's at. The only attack that I had in the sideboard, I think you already had, was just 1 Searing Glacial, and then 1 Half Hot Ignition. It's just like options. Half Hot Ignition feels really, really good to use with like Sugar Rush power up or even Todoroki. Making this a 5 mid for 8 on a 4 diff is very good, and it's got that jolt ability of if it's full blocked, you still get to do your thing. Feels great. Feels very, very good.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind having the extra 4 diff because I can't cheat later progressive as well as Tokoyami.
Right.
I'm not positive what comes out because I like Crow and Frog on the 5 diff because that also lets me cheat progressive. I'd still be fine with taking those out.
The real answer
maybe
is
Turn to Dust.
Turn to Dust is what comes out for it. But I think that your point of like trying to, I mean, you got to stun down Momo, like you have to, right? And so
exactly.
Like, having stuns here, stuns here, stuns here, stuns here might be the thing that you need in order to accomplish said goal.
Yeah, exactly. Corn Frog's really the only thing that I could see coming out. Or slightly shifting Frigid to like a 3 of or something like that.
Have you tested Todoroki 2 with Crow and Frogs, like as like the main idea of like, yo, here's a poke that's non-committal, and if it lands, it lands. If it don't, it don't.
I mean, I did in Rochester briefly.
Sure.
As a sideboard character, but no, not past that.
Yeah, maybe just test it out and see what haps. Like, maybe the answer is like you take out 1 Crow, you take out 1 Frigid, and you just drop in 2 of these, right? Like just like keep your countdown just a smidge. I to keep your curve down just a smidge. I'm not 100% positive. You know?
Yeah.
Let's move on to the foundations. Or actually, let's do actions, right? The actions that I think Go for the Win is nuts in your character. It is another action that just like slams into the card pool and we don't care about it, so that whenever their math is bad, as well as when you just play it, you are starting to commit resources in order to do stuff. I'll just build 2 and be fine. I'll just like extend my turn way further. And then when you do play Searing, we both go to 5. And then you play your Go for the Win after you've committed a resource. You destroy it as a cost. I'm now at 4, and then I'll rebuild my cards back in. And so, like, you then get to go up to 6 foundations, and they don't have the resources to deal with you. And so, like, I think this card is really, really good. It's probably better main boarded than Capture Evildoers. At least that's what I did. Is I put in, I had, I want to say I had like 3, 1, and 3. But this is very good versus a lot of decks. So like I get it. Wanted to main board it.
I'm fine sideboarding the Capture Evildoers.
This is a low block, right? Which is
exactly. That's why I'm very fine with that.
Yeah. Let's put them in there. We'll get rid of this, and let's do 3. If you feel like it's too much, then let's just drop it down. Or sorry, you have all these other ones at 2. Let's put it at 2, right? 2 is a fine number.
Sure.
2, 2, 2. Chill.
Yeah.
I'm into it.
I can shove another foundation in.
Yeah. And like the +2 speed whenever like it matters will matter.
Yeah.
Right?
Exactly.
Yeah. Let's talk about foundations. Talk about foundations. So I added in this Forcing Surrender before UVS Ultra like updated. So I just get to take this out of the sideboard. Let's look at our foundation count. Is there anything in here that you don't like? Right? You're like, this card was like a little iffy.
I'm not the biggest fan of running Arrogant Dispositions, but I feel like I keep proven wrong by the fact that everyone else does for the low block and the 6 check.
Yeah.
But I definitely like the low block, so that's why that's in there.
Right.
Other than that, I'm unsure if Todoroki needs the latent skills and the calling for backups like Tokoyami does. That would be another one that I'm less sure about.
Sure.
Other than that. And then if either of the 2 0 diffs on fire are better than Stronger in Darkness, I just didn't think they were.
No, they're not.
Those are the like 3 main things.
This is for sure the best one because it's like as soon as you like run out of things you want to do with your character, just commit him. And then
exactly.
Now you guys have more stats. So let's talk about the things that I added in, right? Ice Gliding you got a 4 of, so I guess I could just take that out of the sideboard. League Interview is just like it's just lube for the deck. Just like, help me make my checks a little easier. It feels way better to League Interview and then check a 3 on your Crow and Frog and then just commit the League Interview. Be like, hey, it's not a big deal. I checked a 4 on it instead.
Yeah.
And you still feel like you get to play, especially because like 5 diff.
Exactly.
Your curve's very, very high, and so any amount of lube that you can have here is going to feel good.
Sure.
Revel, not playing Revel is so interesting. I know that this was a Tokoyami list, and Revel's is not quite as good in Tokoyami. When you made this Todoroki, did you deliberately leave this out?
So League and Revel are both the same story, which is that they eventually came out to keep deck size down. So if there is something else I can take out for them, I am all for both of them.
Okay.
They were both mid blocks,
which we've got plenty of. Let's take a look at our difficult. Actually, let's look at our block zones and see where we're looking at mids here. Yeah, so like mid makes sense. Mid. And we don't have a lot of wiggle room, mid block wise. Yeah. Maybe we don't get to play them, right? Maybe we get to play other things.
Yeah. The only thing I could see coming out would be Nervous Habit, because if I remember correctly, it's mainly just there for stun hate. But if I'm trying to stun, I should probably not be able to then be stunned back.
Lose 1 health plus 1 speed is not fair. This is for sure a I kill you card. We said this is a 6 high for whatever. Being 7 high means that you win the game, right? Like in some instances, and us losing 1 health to guarantee hit them for 5 is like we're gonna win as long as we can make that happen and stave off the defense. I think this card is insane. At minimum, whenever I played the deck, I think I played this at 2 and then this at like 3, if not 4, because I really wanted the Todoroki form. But I think I was also playing the same number of cards as you. It must be that like I wasn't playing things like Drowning, and I wasn't playing things like 4 main board Frozen. I was playing 3. Childhood Friends didn't exist. Like Kirishima 2 didn't exist whenever I played this deck, and so yeah. And then just like the last card that I had was Encouragement, just to try and keep our curve down. It kind of does a very similar job of League Interview, but League Interview is just like over and over again, and Encouragement's based on what my opponent does to me as opposed to anything else.
Yeah.
And it also says that like if it hits, you don't get the momentum, which is like big in our deck, but we don't necessarily like if we're going to kill them, we don't need the momentum.
Yeah. I definitely would prefer League Interview or Revel over Encouragement. The only thing I can think of is maybe pull 1 Nervous Habit out and then shove in either League or Revel at a 2 of.
Yeah, we could take Nervous and bring it down. I think if you want to go 2, I would probably go Revel. Revel also makes your Sugar Rushes stronger, faster, as long as you and makes like Frigids a little more live. Yeah, let's do double Revel, I think. And at the very end of the game, you get to burst and try and draw the 2 cards.
Yeah,
this is looking very similar to where my numbers were.
Yeah, I think it's a little bit better once we got the low blocks up for sure. So Go for the Win is absolutely helping with that.
I'm trying to look. Yeah, I think actually the big thing here is the fact that like you're mainboarding the Turn to Dust and 2 extra Ice Storms. I think I was only playing like 2 Ice Storms, and then I probably had like a high block and a low block here in order to try and round things out. It's like putting this number to 23 and then increasing both of these by 2 would probably be helpful. I don't know what those cards are. I don't know what that looks like. I mean, and once again, you like Turn to Dust. So maybe it's even like you take Ice Storm and you put it down to like a 2 of, or maybe even a 1 of, right? Like what does it look like whenever we replace it with like 3 1 of attacks that are like neat to keep pulling back? Let's go look at some ranged fire attacks and see what we could pull out, right? Attack.
Exactly.
Ranged, go. Detonation Launcher, Finishing Blast, Cinder Conviction, Half-Hot Ignition, Searing Glacial, Hellflame Javelin, yeah. Exploding Pride is really cool. Nitro Explosion Ignition is the thing that I was running in my main board, as opposed to the Crow and Frogs. That's the big change up there, is I was playing Ignition at a 3, if not 4, just to steal free momentum and give things powerful. And they were started faster.
Yeah. So I guess, is the powerful on Ignition better than I was thinking? Because my concern with Ignition was the fact that I'm losing out on the other word it says, or the other ability it has, which is because I have no other Furies. But I guess if the powerful is all we need.
If you found 2 of them, right? If you found 2, or you picked one up with Toto, right? You just cleared itself. You played one, you played the other, you cleared the first one, you grabbed your momentum, you Todoroki, you pick your momentum up. It's just draw a card. On a 5 high for 4, so 7 high for 6, stun 2 if we wanted. So like it was just a good poke on a 4 diff with a better block.
Yeah, I'm now realizing it's basically as blank as Crow and Frog, which isn't necessarily super blank, but at least as blank. So
yeah, but like Crow and Frog hits harder, whereas Ignition hits faster, which means that like you might get your poke through, but at the same time you don't want to just poke with Ignition pass. Like, that's not just like a great exchange rate, whereas poke with Crow and Frog doesn't actually doesn't hurt, but it's also 4 diff, right? So there's the thing.
I think I'm very down for take out Crow and Frogs for Nitros, because having more 4 diffs lets me go out sooner, especially if that Nitros has another way of cheating progressive.
Love it. That did not help our high and low block count.
Yeah. We solved another issue.
That sounds
like success.
Yeah. With that said, though, right? Because I mean, the final piece of advice. We'll get there.
So speaking of taking Ice Storms out, does it make sense to take Ice Storms out for like 1 or 2 half-hot ignitions or something like that? Because they're both 4 diffs. I don't really want to take Ice Storm out for a 5 diff for obvious reasons.
Yeah, I think that Breaker 2 is probably just better than what half-hot ignition's got going on.
Okay. That's why I like the 4 of Ice Storm, because Breaker 2 I feel like hurts a lot of decks right now.
Yeah. Yeah, I think this might be where you should start with Todoroki 2 and just see like what exists, right? How does the gameplay work? Take the Crow and Frogs and put them in your sideboard for ignition and see like which side of that coin do you like better, right? Yeah. So here's the final piece of advice that I'm gonna give, right? I think that you were already on the money with playing the bird in the main board and siding into Todoroki in the sideboard. I think that is the correct thing to do. Having played this at a big event, right? I played this for 7 rounds in Vegas and was like, there were plenty of times where having a 7th card and less life meant that I actually got to kill them. Like playing Sugar Rush was good in both decks. And if I wanted the Searings, they were in the sideboard of Todoroki. I probably should have just had them in the sideboard for when I brought in Todoroki, right?
Yeah.
I think that there's a lot of stuff going on, and if that does end up being the thing, then you just take the Nitro Explosions out and you just put back in the Crow and Frogs, because they're doing a better job as Todoroki or Tokoyami, sorry. And if you feel like you need to slow the game down, you can go to Todoroki. But if you want to keep the game nice and fast, nobody plays this card better than the bird, and this is like the best attack in your deck. And so like
absolutely,
why be a lesser version of that character? Play this deck, try this deck, but then use once you do this and you try order, you try water. If the fire version is your favorite version, just play the bird and put Todoroki in the sideboard and hone that deck a little better. And I think you're gonna still find success.
I could see that. I think one of my bigger issues on Saturday, other than not playing aggro exactly right, was the fact that I was very nervous to go into Todoroki 2 because I didn't practice enough.
Sure. Yeah. And this would be a great way to practice with the character, right? Or the other option is, right, go play in a bunch of locals with your bird deck, pre-sideboarded as Todoroki, and register Todoroki.
Exactly.
Yeah. Which means we don't get to change a bunch of this stuff, but like we just do the thing. I like this deck as is. I think this deck is very fun. If you gun to my head, make the most competitive Todoroki 1 or Todoroki 2 list that I could, the first thing that I would do would be to take Todoroki and put him in the sideboard and put in Tokoyami under the fire symbol.
Yeah.
And that's just how I feel, right? And I don't want to sit here and be like, fuck yeah, dude, your Todoroki 2 deck's gonna be the best shit ever. I think the bird is the right call, but I'm excited to see what you can do with this.
Yeah, that makes sense to me.
Yeah. Fumi will always be best bird. Agreed, Scarlet Maiden. Any last minute thoughts, Teacup?
No, I think that covers most of my thoughts.
Okay, man. All right, let me shoot you this message and let you go on with the rest of your night. Thank you for hanging out, man.
No problem.
All right. Peace.